This is the Recovery Lab.
Here we dive deep into the struggles, victories, and hope that stem from recovery.
No shame, no judgment, just truth, grace, and inspiration.
Let's walk this road together.
All right. Welcome back, my little Recovery Lab control group. We're here with Chief Scientist this week, Paxton Peters. He's the operator manager of the Alcoholics Anonymous of Central Office. You do a lot of work for a lot of people and have for a long time. We're super excited to hear your story and let all of our listeners hear more about you in case they haven't. And for those who do love you and know you already, you're getting the dose of a side of Paxton you've never seen before. Live and in Technicolor. Thanks for coming on. We know it's a big sacrifice to take a Sunday afternoon to come sit in a studio and talk about yourself, which is why I know something you hate doing. But we're going to pull it out of you. We're going to make you do it, whether you like it or not. So thank you for coming and sitting with us. Brynn, this is your first time to meet Paxton, isn't it?
It is. Well, I've met you once. I came into the intergroup office for a big book when I was looking for that from somebody. So it was a while back, but we met once.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right.
I've heard good things, though.
Well, that's good. Well, I have known Danny since I came to Mississippi, and been after me a while about doing something like this. And I'm not anywhere near a tech knowing anything of this kind of stuff is. This is a little different and strange, but
Well, let me just say this real quick. The first time I ever met Paxton, this was 2006, had to be 2005, 2006. I was at Way Out, and I think I was outside smoking a cigarette, and here comes this old man skipping. I'm not kidding. He was skipping to the front door, like, and he was singing something or rapping something. Maybe he was like acting like he was rapping. And I was like, who the F is this guy? Yeah. And now we're sitting here talking to you now. So I don't want to take any of your time. But that I had to share that. That was my first time laying eyes on you at Way Out. And we've developed a pretty great friendship over the years. So I'm really grateful you're here. And I'm glad that people are going to be able to hear your story, and definitely now for years and years to come. So take it away, Paxton.
well, we were talking. I was talking to Brynn just before we got started, and I could go forever and ever and ever on my life story, but I think what's important is if we can transition into really where I am now. I was born in a little small farming town in eastern North Carolina. My mother's parents were farmers, and my father's family was in the export tobacco business. And so, I had three brothers, normal childhood. And the thing that I remember better when people ask me about, why did I start doing what I was doing? And I think everybody has their own reason, whether it can be they have illness in the family, they can get divorced, they can have, mental issues and whatever. And for me, I just didn't feel like I fit in from a really, really early age. I felt like, I had three brothers. My older brother was extremely good looking, athletic. My younger brother was just hilarious and funny. And then, of course, my baby brother's 10 years younger than me, so I don't really know much about him because I left home at 18. But I felt like a jigsaw puzzle that was missing some of the pieces of the puzzle. It was just, so when I discovered things like we were talking about paregoric at 8, I would sneak it from my parents' medicine cabinet and go take a big slug and lay down in my bed and just spin. And then I, started puffing gas when I was a little kid, when I was mowing the
All
yards.
yeah.
I'm mowing the yard and and spray paint, and then of course always drinking, from leftover drinks from my parents' house. But when I got 17 was when I first did my first shot of heroin, and that was my passion.
Mm-hmm.
And but it all of that nearly killed me. I came here in 2006, and I've been sober. It'll be 20 years, March the 12th this year. And so it was my 18th rehab. First time I went into rehab was 1976. I was court-ordered into AA in 1977. And I still had that missing pieces of my puzzle. And I walk in the rooms down in a basement of the First Baptist Church in Wilson, North Carolina, and I looked around the room, and all these old white men and one or two rough-looking women. And I thought, I have nothing in common with them.
Mm. How old were you at this time?
I was 21. And the only thing I ever did right from 1976 to 2006 is I continued to go back to the AA meeting. I was forced to, sometimes just to try to see if I could, but it was the only place I could go that the noise would stop. And
do you remember anything in particular from any of the meetings that like stuck with you, and later on you were like, wow, yeah, I really get what they were saying when they said that?
I do, and of course during that span of time, the longest I'd ever had sober was 3.5 months when I was in California, and that was meeting sobriety. That was going to 7 or 8, 9 meetings a day,
Mm-hmm.
and hanging out with movie stars and rock musicians, and it just felt like I was one, but until I got home. But what I would see was people's lives were livable. We think that, if I get sober and I go to AA meetings, my initial yardstick was going to be like this. It never measured up. It was when I saw people that, a guy would have a child that was sick and, eventually died. I remember this. And he came to a meeting the next day. And, he could say things like, yes, I'm upset, I'm miserable, and heartbroken, but I'm good today. And that was, I just, and that's why I struggled so hard, because I couldn't make those things line up. And people ask me today, what turned the corner when I came here in 2006 I think it was just, I never will forget my counselor at KPAC. His name was Larry Carr. And he asked me one time if I was weary. And that resonated with me, because I was. And I had fought a long fight, and I was just weary.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, had got here. I was in had a lot of medical issues. I was rushed to the hospital 12 hours after I got here with acute pancreatitis and endocarditis. My liver was pretty cirrhotic, swollen, distended. My kidneys were shutting down. I was almost the color of that orange marker hanging on the wall. And 1,000 miles away from anybody I knew. Of course, by this time I had, anything, I had just burned everything down.
Yeah, like was your family talking to you, your siblings?
The only communication I would have would be my mother would occasionally come by and put a can of chicken broth in the church bulletin in my screen door if she saw my truck was there. But I had been in the methadone clinic for 6.5 years. I came from California back to North Carolina to go back to start in the methadone because I'd been out there. I don't know how many times. It was just anything I could do. We try to be so sneaky about shit, and I had been kicked out of the methadone clinic, and that's why the last shot of heroin I did was December 15th, 2005, and I remember just like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my truck when I did it, and I'd been kicked out of the methadone clinic a month before, and because I would do. I mean, what do we do? I mean, you could write the script. I mean, David knows exactly the same kind of shit. I mean, we think that we are smarter, slicker. We can beat this. We can outthink this if I just try a little harder or whatever. I mean, it was like I went to rehab 3 times when I was in the methadone clinic. We had a rehab upstairs that would detox me from alcohol and cocaine, and a methadone clinic in the basement. And what really kind of straw that broke the camel's back was the day I had to drive to Raleigh to the methadone clinic. It was about an hour or so away, and the clinic's only open from like 6 to 11. So 6 o'clock in the morning, and somebody reports me for swerving on the interstate. And State Patrol gets in behind me about the time I turn off into this little shopping center area where the methadone clinic was, and pulls in behind me with his blue light on. I get out of my truck, scurry into the methadone clinic thinking I might be safe, and when the highway patrolman comes in there, the people just scatter like roaches. And I was drinking on the way to the clinic at 6 o'clock in the morning with an open bottle of liquor. I mean, that should have been an indication, but I had enough methadone stockpiled to last me till March the 12th.
You knew exactly how many.
And yeah, because I was on 190 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
And my ex-wife had found Copac, which is now called Defining Wellness, on the internet. And she and my parents said, you need to go there. And I fought it. And that's when I counted them out and, made plans to get here. And so when I got here, they rushed me to the hospital with all that stuff. But it for me, I needed to stay here. Things started happening. Little things.
When you came down to Copac, and the first thing you have to do is go to the hospital and all that, and then you get discharged from the hospital and you go back to Copac. Is there what was it about this time? I mean, I know that's such a cliche question to ask.
Well, it is, and for everybody, it's different. For me, I was a runner.
Yeah.
I would go to rehab when things got hot. I'd go to psych wards and mental institutions when I'd get committed. I'd go to the emergency room when the ambulance would come. But Copac back then, it was a 3-month minimum. Mm-hmm. And so it was a major, it took, some prying to get me to accept.
Yeah.
That. And that was just, the screws had gotten tighter and tighter. I was in major financial debt. There's so many times that I would sit on this little 3-room house that I was living in, and literally put a gun to my head and have a bottle of vodka sitting on the side. And just, I had at the time a 12-year-old son, and I just couldn't do it. And so, but I think for me, being the type of, from going into rehab so early, starting using and doing so early, I had to have it 3 months. And I'll have to give it to the staff at Copac out there, because what they did, because I was in at the hospital the first 2 months I was here. And so they added 2 months to my 3-month stay for no extra charge, because I wasn't getting the rehab benefit when I was in the hospital. And that led me long enough to begin. I mean, you've had Denise on here. She can tell you stories of crazy mess that she and I owe a lot to her. I mean, a lot to her, some of the people that were out there. And it was just, I was there long enough, not for some major burning bush moment, transformation. Oh my God, I'm 51 years old. I think it's time to get sober. It was just little bitty cracks in the armor. Just little bitty things like that started to say, oh, maybe we can do it. So that's what it took. Everybody's case is a little different, but I do know that from doing this and doing it as long as I have, the way things have laid out in my life have been the way they were meant to be, not the way I necessarily wanted them to be. I had no idea I would ever be doing what I do now at the AA Central Office. I was applying for disability while I was still in treatment, because I have a lot of extended medical issues. And they suggested that I needed to do something, because when you're in phase 3, they didn't want you hanging around. You had to go out and get a job or do. And some of the people in the AA community that I had gotten to know, like Miss Jane Jones, David Braxton, list of others, that you need to apply for this job. Because it went from being just a volunteer thing to a job, and so I did. And
I'm at the AA office.
Mm-hmm. And then what it turned out is that my disability came in, and they said that I could make $970 a month. That's all I needed at my disability. And I started down there answering the phone. People would call in and want to know where this and that or whatever it is. I'd be pulling out maps, and I had not a clue. And it's given me the opportunity to give back, and give back in a different way that makes me feel really blessed and grateful today.
What's it like working there? Like, is the majority of it just phone calls, and what's one of the main things you get asked the most?
It's changed over time. And now we, instead of having a yellow page ad, and it's important to understand that the AA Central Office is the Mid-Mississippi Intergroup Central Office. And so we're responsible for all the meetings in central western Mississippi. And so initially it was just, when I started, because one of my first jobs there was sitting outside smoking cigarettes, folding meeting schedules. And now it's gone from just paper folded meeting schedules to we have a website, and I have to give a shout out to Bruce and Randy. That's my IT team, and if David knows who they are, and he's thinking, "How in the world is that your IT?"
We're done, man.
But it is. But it's so we have a website. We have a fluid meeting schedule of all of those areas that I described. That if there's a meeting time change, we can have it in there within a week. Information on AA, the contact numbers, and all this kind of stuff. So we have progressed to that. We have a newsletter that's put out. And so mostly today it involves answering phone calls, people looking for me, looking for directions or where a meeting is. Probably 15, 20% is that don't know anything about AA. A lot of times it's a family member. I have a brother that's alcoholic. So it's
What do you tell them?
well, I mean, we try to explain the disease, that it's not that they're bad people, and that about ourselves. And I say ourselves. Randy Bissell is my co-conspirator in all this. I 77. I'm 71.
Oh Lord.
So just show you, we're really on the cutting edge.
Really savvy.
Anyway, sorry, Danny. All right.
I know it's not very comfortable. It's
It
right here in
is.
the face.
Well, so your question again?
Well, okay. Say I'm calling because my family member is sort of out of control. Like, talk to me right now. Like, what would you say to them?
Well, first we'd ask if they're trying to be, if you think that they're going to harm themselves or somebody else.
Okay.
It's really kind of neat in Mississippi that we have a community-based mental health system in Mississippi. And so if it's a really dramatic situation, you can call a crisis intervention unit, depending on whatever region you're in. I think there's 15 regions in the state. And so, and they intercede. But typically, the run-of-the-mill questions we get is, how much do meetings cost? What time are they? Where are they? What do I have to wear? A judge is, I got to get a paper signed. How do I do that? It can range. It's you can use your imagination in just about anything.
I got a question real quick. So, of all the calls that you got, has there ever been a call where after you got off it, you kind of were overwhelmed with gratitude and you kind of thought to yourself, this is why I do what I do?
Every one. I had one yesterday.
Can you describe the most impactful one that you've had?
Well, I mean, I just tell you about the call I had yesterday. It was about 5:00 in the afternoon, and the phone rang, and it was a lady, and I knew she was drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And she just said she was dying. Said, this is killing me. I'm dying. And I won't go into any personal details because I don't want to. Somebody may say, "Oh, I know that person," but she said she had been to AA before, and that she'd stay sober for a few days, but she could not drink.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that feeling. She started talking about hiring a sober companion for $1,500 a day. And, I knew about that from when I was in California.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say 1,500 a day?
That's what she told me.
That's what I need to do next.
But, but the truth of the matter is it, and when you're talking to a drinking drunk, as Bill, our co-founder, Bill Wilson would say, is that you're not going to be able to reach them.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't just throw them out.
Mm-hmm.
Call me back when you're sober. So I went through where there was meetings, and I just talked to her. And just listened to her. And told her that there was hope. And that's the, that's the only thing at that point that we can do. And it's heartbreaking and gratifying.
Mm-hmm.
I heard on a speaker CD the other day, and I'm probably just going to butcher the shit out of it, but it hit me so in the heart. And that's, my spiritual awakenings come just little touches of my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy said that when a human being walks in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, the heavens fall silent as one more human is restored to dignity. And here I am, broaching 20 years of sobriety, and have been given 2 lives. Pre-sobriety and sobriety now. And how if I could package it, I'd be the richest man. I had more money than Elon Musk. But what I've learned is that it's a slow walk. It's a slow walk. And if you're gonna be connected up with this, there's gonna be a lot of tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
But the overwhelming gratitude and everything else is there's no price tag on it. Like I said, I've been given 2 lives.
I think you've had more than 2, Paxton. I think you've had more than 2, man. But I want to know what's your tell me why the Suboxone, or why the methadone clinic didn't work for you. Why were you bouncing in and out for 6 years, and why were you drinking? And what's your opinion of medically assisted treatment today?
That's a good question. For me, in active addiction, which I consider, just because I went to the methadone clinic and I'd get 2 weeks worth of take-homes, my first thought is I can use like a banshee for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can do something for a week, and let's just quit for a week. That would be a great life, wouldn't it? And that's the insanity of my thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to Mississippi with it. That was my intention, was to come here because Copac was one of the beginning places to use Suboxone, 2006. Essentially, I detoxed from methadone on morphine while I was in the hospital. I was only on Suboxone like 1 day. But it didn't work for me because I thought I was different. I thought I was above the rules. I thought that doesn't apply to me. And my thought is that medically assisted treatment has a place. Guys that I've sponsored, and my sponsor told me this, Tom told me this once, is that when you work with somebody that is on Suboxone or whatever, that if you rush them and force them to get off of it, you're creating a relapse potential. If you are more integrated in it and they're working with a doctor and they have a plan over a period of a year or two to titrate down, and because it's hard for me to conceive of true spiritual experiences that I get if I am affected.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just my opinion.
I feel like if I'm affected, all I can think about when I'm unaffected is getting affected. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So just like, I don't know. I don't know.
But I've known, but you know, I've got a guy I'm sponsoring right now that was addicted to kratom, which is a new thing for me. I mean, I know. I mean, that came out a long time. Of course, you know, if every bit of kratom was 100% natural, there would be no more vines in Southeast Asia.
Right.
I mean, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
But nowadays we can chemically create. So anyway, he was addicted to kratom, and this poor guy's been in 40-something rehabs. He got into a place in Hattiesburg.
Pine Grove?
No, it's one of the community-based ones.
Next up.
Might have been. And was there for 2 months on Suboxone. And so, you know, he's out now and we're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just, you know, we don't look to the future. You know, it's just, you know, let's get a good day. Let's have a good day.
Yeah.
And I'm very strongly AA oriented, but you know, hell, I'm a child of the 60s, 70s, and I'm gonna flow like I need to flow. And I understand that AA, we have traditions and we have things, and the beauty of it is. And I learned all this from being at the office and the mentors and stuff I've had over the years. Is that each group is autonomous.
Mm-hmm.
At my home group, Way Out group, I introduce myself as an addict alcoholic. If I go to another group and in their announcements they say, you know, we don't want to hear any talk about drugs or whatever, I don't have a problem. I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So I have to be able to
go with the flow.
Go with the flow and be of help where and when I can.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody asks me how to change, you know, a transmission in a truck, I ain't got a clue. So I don't try to help or discuss things with somebody that I don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
I could just talk about what I do.
I know you know a lot about working the actual steps.
Yeah.
And I see you do that with people in the community. I see you talking about it a lot. Tell me a little bit about your experience when you finally came in here and through Copac and you've got the separation from the drugs. You've gotten out of the hospital. Tell me about your success story with the steps. Like, what was that like working that with a professional or with a sponsor?
Before you do that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay, is that recorded on there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I was going to ask you, did you cut yet?
No. So
What is your? How many
Yeah.
people watch this?
tens of
Zillions.
people, tens of thousands, maybe a billion even.
Nice.
It's true. Could be true.
We're big in Japan.
Huge in Japan. Huge in Japan. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sitting in a meeting the other day, and a guy that I not a close friend of mine, just somebody that I know from meetings, whatever. He laughs and nudges me and shows me his Facebook page, and it's got Recovery Lab open on it. He said, "I love the last episode." So I mean, people are listening that I don't even think about. Yeah, we have guests that come on that tell their story and they share it with their 10 or 15 friends and sponsees or whatever. And for that week, everybody's, watching them because they were on. We had, when Cody Mann came on, I mean, I think we had we had 7,000 views because she's kind of a Jackson celebrity from running
Okay.
Sam's Lounge and doing her hair
Okay.
stuff. So we've had some guests that come on that bring a crowd, just like working in a club. You know, some people bring a crowd. And sometimes we're playing for the bartender, sometimes we're playing for the barmaid. There's nobody else here.
Well, that's
cool.
all right.
Yeah.
That's I'll say this. As long as I've known Danny, when he gets his mind set on something, he's
doing it.
all in.
He's doing it. Yeah.
If it's tubs or selling petroleum or putting gasoline on a bonfire,
Yeah.
I mean,
Doing it.
he always does it big.
is there any other way?
I'm not going to tell all the stories I know of you.
That's part 2.
Yeah. All right. Where were we?
Okay, so sorry.
Yeah, I want to know about your experience with the steps. Everybody has, everybody who's had long-term psychic change sobriety has worked the steps. And it's all a little bit different sometimes what they've done. Some of them took the first step really, really quick. For you, it looked like it took 25 years of research. I want to know kind of what some of your personal experience was with steps.
It was it's because hearing them for 30-something years in meetings and opening them up and relating to what does that really mean. Like I started out saying, I had to really be broken to be able to hear. And I think that my real step one deal was when I was at Baptist Hospital. I'd been in Mississippi about a month or so, and I was getting ready to have a procedure done where they put me under and had to put a endoscopic thing. And anyway, long story, drain a pancreatic cyst. And I had to sign this paper because the doctor explained to me that they had a surgeon on hand because and I had never heard this before, is that when you drink and use so long that your veins on your organs become varicose. And even though they were going to go in endoscopy, they needed to have my permission that if something went awry, he could cut me open and get to it that way. And I laid there in that hospital bed, and nobody that I knew back in North Carolina knew where I was. And it was the most alone feeling I've ever felt. And I did, I guess I'll say this on the air, because this is real personal. I wanted to find something different. And there was a Gideon's Bible well, I'm not a religious person, so hell, that's not going to work for me. So I took the napkins that were on the tray where they had brought me stuff, food and stuff, and I started writing. And I can't even remember what it is that I wrote. I've still got it today, folded up in that same Gideon's Bible in my stuff. I just held on to it. But I started writing out things about how desperate and lonely. It was really my true broken down. I'm powerless. I understand the disease concept, blah, blah, but the real thing was my life was unmanageable. Because I was the kind of guy that I could fall down in the gutter and still feel like I could find somebody I could look down on. It was never quite bad enough. Hey, you're living on the street. I'm staying in a motel room with no sheets. That was the next day after the procedure, the day before I was getting ready to check out. I was still smoking then, heavy 3 packs a day. And so I would come down the elevator with my rolling IV and in my hospital gown that opens in the back. And there's when you come out the front of Baptist, there's a little half circle thing. And I sat down there and just smoking and, contemplating everything that had been going on. And the sweetest black lady sat down next to me and started talking about angels. And I just talked to her for a while, and she got up and left.
Wait, what'd she say?
She said that she believed in angels, and that
she wasn't calling you one.
No, she wasn't calling me one. She was just looking for somebody to talk to. I had a family member or something in there. I mean, I ain't real sure. I mean, it's not like it was a crystal clear moment. I'd been, they had me doped up, but I swear it was real.
Yeah.
But and so when that, and then they started saying I needed to get a sponsor. And Ben Harris, oh, you remember him? God almighty. Car salesman at Copac. I mean,
oh, yeah, he was at Hair and Gear for
Yeah.
the longest. Is he still around?
I don't know where he is. Anyway, he came out and said, I've asked him to be my sponsor. And
What about him made you want to ask him?
Well, he was talking and he came out to speak and he was talking about dope and all this, that, and the other. I thought,
I like that.
yeah, I like that. I mean, he'd been locked up. And I like that, and But then I found out what he was talking about was crack, and I never smoked crack. I've ate a lot of coke, and I smoked some freebase until we heard Richard Pryor set himself on fire. But it was a willingness to do something.
Uh-huh.
And actually, and his first thing was to call him every day for a week, and between 5 and 5:15 because he was a car salesman. And I don't know why I did it, but I did it. And when I did that for a week, he started meeting with me, and I didn't have a vehicle, and so he would have to come out to the facility where we were in what essentially would be like a IOP situation now. It was the house that's furthest back was what we call the phase 3 house, and you got to have your phones and a vehicle if you're close by, and get a job, and it was more freedom before you went to the next phase. But I did it. He said, get up every morning, get on your knees, ask God to keep you sober, read a morning meditation, and read 10 or 15 minutes in the big book every day. And this is the book that I have had since then. And actually, being a cheap ass like I was, I got this book in 2001, but I knew, and this is what happens when you're really loaded going to rehab, because you've been to rehab so many times, you know what the scope is. So I was thinking, well, they're taking all my money for rehab that I got to pay for 3 months worth, and I'm not going to buy a new book because they would give you books in rehab. So I brought the one I had from the rehab before. But anyway, my dog has chewed it several times. But it was to do that and to start where it says Alcoholics Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
And simply just to read a few pages a day and highlight it and underline it. And it piqued my interest. And I think that's one of the things, when you talk about the steps, when you talk about how people get sober, you have to pique their interest. Because when we get here, most of us people have been trying to sell us a bill of goods for
force feeding it.
Whatever. You need to go to church more. If you found a sweet girl, if you could just get a nice job, do you think maybe you could keep from, spending every weekend in jail?
Right.
I mean, it's, and so it piqued my interest. And, being at the central office gave me a lot of opportunity to dig more. And that's what I did, is I got hungry for it. And the people that I know that have got some tranquility in their lives, gratitude in their lives, and, and are sober, maintain that hunger. And that's just, and that's how I proceeded. Because when I started getting through the rest of the 11 steps and started to look at myself from the 30,000-foot view as opposed to as I looked over my shoulder and could justify and rationalize everything, the type of person that I'd be, and that I didn't like that. It was not the kind of people that my brothers were. And it just, it brought me down to earth, and learning to take an inventory. And Bill was so smart because, taking the original tenets of the Oxford group where we, we're supposed to take assessment of ourselves. Bill knew that us alcoholics and drug addicts would think, all right, well, I've done it once. I don't have to do it again. I've finished step 4 and 5. I'm done. Well, then he throws in the 10th step, and that we continue to do so. And the more I read about the formation and Bill and all the, stuff about AA and how interesting, it became to me, I began to see that is that it's just real people helping other real people, because it helps the first person stay sober. And all the failures that Bill had, that we've all had, the people that we've lost. I mean, David knows this as good as anybody that has got your sober houses, and everybody that came through your sober house hit this thing ground running. I mean, wouldn't that be just
It's like Disney World.
Yeah.
I mean, no trash on the streets. Man,
Yeah.
everybody be fed and everybody be happy.
But it's that few that grab hold that makes it worthwhile,
Mm-hmm.
and it's what keeps it separate from a cult or religion or anything different that's ever come along. Because all the essentials of the 12 steps, come from deep philosophical thinking and the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. It's all stuff that we've heard for thousands of years. And there have been a lot of programs that have tried to find a way to cure the alcoholic. And medical assisted treatment has got a place in it. But everything, because I tried rational recovery and all kinds of stuff. I've been bathed in the blood of Jesus.
There's a lot. Go ahead.
I was wondering, like, because you said, you weren't very religious, like what, and then when the lady was talking about angels and stuff like that, what was your relationship with God like before, and then what's it like now? Is there a relationship now?
Oh yeah, it's and I wouldn't even begin to know how to describe what I conceive of it. But as a kid growing up, my parents were Presbyterian, and so
Well, frozen chosen. We're brothers, man. Yeah.
They I went to church and did that kind of thing, and even when I went to boarding school, it was Episcopal High School in Alexandria, Virginia. And I conformed for the moment. We're chameleons.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go to church and whatever, and as soon as church was over, I'm off. And I just didn't really, it didn't seem, I was too scientifically thinking. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I just could not, I didn't believe from the pictures I'd see in Sunday school of an old man with a white beard. And I'd seen too many tragedies. When I was 13 years old, I had two 5-year-old cousins that were killed in an automobile wet wreck the day before Christmas. That's God done do that. Okay. When I was 22 years old, my older brother, who was a month before turning 25, died in a one-car drunk driving accident. And he was the light of my life. He was the big football star at Episcopal High School and I was uninvited not to come back. I was there for 1 year because that was when I got involved in the anti-war movement and was marching in D.C. And I said I've had 2 lives, but this is the beauty of getting old. I can go from one topic to find you a whole nother one. So the steps, bringing it all back, is I needed to stop playing like I was in charge. Mm-hmm. And they opened up a new world for me. And step 3, when it talks about, walking through that arch of free man, I could visually see that. And the freedom that has been given to me. I'm having all these heart issues and everything right now. I was supposed to have my back operated on. I've got my spinal column is pinching all the nerves, and I have bad sciatica and neuropathy in this leg, and that kind of ruined the plan of doing anything about that. That was not in my plan. I mean, my deal was that I was going to get my back surgery, right now, so I could be ready to do my yard work in the spring and summer, because that's what I love. That's how I, that is my bonding with a power greater than myself. And a lot of that comes from my, agricultural upbringing and, my connection with the natural world. So things change, but it doesn't change my commitment to this program. And that's how I have to be able to differentiate between problems of life and life itself. It's good.
I like that. Things change, but my commitment to this program doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
There's a line in our literature the doctor's writing about, come stand with us for a little while on the firing lines and see why we're not fired up about this program. Let the solving of these problems, the despairing wives, the lost children. And I see you as one of those people who's been standing for almost 20 years on the line. You've been a watcher. I mean, you're a core group. You're a core member of a couple of groups. You've been holding down the central office. You're not a weekend meeting warrior where you come in and do some meetings and sponsor people in the free time. And you've lived on that line. My question is, how have you dealt with the weariness I know that comes with losing friends like Max and Zach, the guys that I know that I've seen you put a lot of time into? Because I've gone through some kind of grief fatigue where I've just said, I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't. And I've checked out. I mean, I've been sober a long time too. And there has been times I have had to walk away, but I've seen you always stand on that line. And
I think that this is the beauty of what this program offers, is that we're not automatons. And, I have to get fed what I need. And, Zach and particularly Max, I still reel from that. Mm-hmm. Max it was a brother for 17 years. And or my son more directly. That's what it amounted to. But, yeah, I have to say, but you know what? He's not suffering anymore. And that's how I had to kind of wrap it around with my brother, and I was in active addiction then. And it took, back to the steps. And it came to making amends. I had amends I had to make for him. And he died in 1977. And they were heartbreaking. And I carried survivor's guilt from then until, I don't know, probably 2007 when, my sponsor had me, said, you need to write him a letter. Exactly how you feel, and go to his grave and read it. And when I did that, I was able to say, yeah, because he was suffering. Mm-hmm. I mean, Wynyard was he was a picture perfect alcoholic. I mean, he was a guy, and this happened after he got injured in football in high school when he broke his neck. And alcohol ruled him. I mean, he would sit and drink a fifth of grape flavored vodka like a, bottle of water. And the guys, it was a horrible situation. But being able to okay, I have to balance it with I can't always stay in. I'm going to remember Max. I'm going to remember Zach. good times and a lot of times. But you know what? I got to also know that, you know, I got this guy that's new that I'm working with, and you know, this is going to be a trip. I mean, it's just like anything else. I think you have to have some balance in life. I don't think, for me, I can't be. I have to switch gears from time to time.
Are you able to do that?
Pretty much so.
Yeah.
Pretty much so. I mean, yeah, I'm big out. You know, love music. Yeah, I have learned to be at peace with myself. I don't have to have a crowd of people around to make me feel one way or another. I can just be comfortable sitting down with my dogs, and you know, there's going to be disappointment, but one of the things, and you know what you were mentioning, I think is vitally important, that for me and for all of us, that we understand that I can take a step back. Because the people that I've seen over the years that took way far step backs and never got back in. You know, one of the saddest things that I have seen, or you know, have seen, and you know, is what happens to women in recovery a lot. Woman will come into recovery and they get sober and things start going good. They start having children. They don't have the time. They don't come. And then they have more children and they don't come. And I have seen a number of women that have gone down that road, and sometimes they don't ever come back. And sometimes after 10 or 15 years, they start drinking again. And thank God when they do come back. And that can happen to young people as well.
Mm-hmm.
That come in. You know, Mississippi has a really strong MISSIPA, which is the Mississippi Conference of Young People in Alcoholics Anonymous program. It was real big in Jackson when I first got here, and then it moved up to North Mississippi, and it been down more recently down around Macomb and Summit, and but I mean, that whole YPAW, people that get into that, and Danny can tell you, I bet he's been to one or two of them.
Couple.
Is a new dimension to bring people in, and it's just like women or young people. My hope is that we need people to stay, because if it wasn't for the people that were here when I got here, you know, that's not what this is about. This is about carrying it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And that's how I perfect and enlarge my spiritual condition.
You've already done enough to leave. You're quite a legacy, quite a story for all the work you've done. But what would you like to add to your story, to your legacy? You've already done so much, but what have you got your eye on now? Kind of be the silent sage in the corner of a couple of meetings? Would you like to do some deeper work somewhere else? What do you want to add?
No one's ever referred to me as a silent sage. Throwing that out there.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have any aspirations. I mean, I think I just want to try to continue to be a more understanding and compassionate man. and it's, it's all been a process. I mean, I had 10 years of sobriety. I had a whole new surrender that had to come about. Girlfriend that I'd been with for a number of years left me. My father died. My son graduated from college. It was like, whoa, what's going on? And so it took a stepping back and trying to understand that I was probably not anywhere near the growth level that I wanted to be at. And that's why I say it's dangerous to come in and set a goalpost that, you think that you're striving for, because if you do, if you do, what I have come to believe and understand is that the world and the world about me, God, whatever, has a different idea. And it doesn't matter what my idea is. And so, I've been blessed. I got married in 2019 to, she was supposed to be here today, but anyway, she's...
Yeah, you married up. You did good. You did good.
She's working in the house. She's a nurse, and a beautiful part of my life. I wouldn't have known that. I mean, when my ex-wife divorced me, one of the last conversations I had with her before she passed away was that she hoped everybody in AA would die.
She sounds lovely.
But she was not happy with me. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah.
But, and my son is back in my life. I mean, that's, it's just how did this happen?
Mm-hmm.
And he just turned 34. And when I started seeing Kelly, her little girl was 9. So I have been a part of that little girl's life. She's 18 and a half. It's a gift because I didn't have those years with him. And my relationship with him today is an adult relationship. Plus I have 3 female dogs, so I'm surrounded by women. But, so, I mean, how can I add to any of this? They asked me a year or 2 ago if I wanted to come out to Defining Wellness and lead a book study. And, like they tell me in AA, I said yes, and I did. And so I've been going out there for well over a year. And I learned real quick that it was, they don't keep them but about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it was like, just a book study is not going to cut it. So, I just started talking about AA.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about myself, kind of like what we've been doing today, I guess, really. Because if it's not interesting, what do we have to offer?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you look back over programs like the Oxford Group or Washingtonians, when they were offering up a religion, you can get that on a street corner. Or, and I've done some crazy methods of trying to get off of this stuff. Called ultra rapid detox.
It sounds
I think it's outlawed in a lot of places now. I flew out to Palm Springs, and they told me to bring all the heroin I could do before midnight. And sure, I can do that. Of course, this was long before 9/11. You could do that.
Yeah.
So they picked me up at the airport, take me to a fancy hotel downtown, and I'm just doing my deal. And after midnight, I had to start doing these things that they'd given me, and picked me up at 6 in the morning and took me to the office building, put me in a dental chair. I put on a robe, and they did an IV in me, knocked me out, put me on a table, and pumped my body full of naltrexone. And I rocked like a fish on a cleaning table, flopping it.
Who are these people? Just be like,
Yeah.
come sit in this chair. We want to try something.
But so after 8.5 hours, they brought me back and cleaned me up, put a new gown on me, and gave me a bottle of benzos, and had I don't know what he was, follow me back to the hotel and put me in bed and come check my blood pressure about every couple of hours. And then the next morning they'd say, well, we'll see you later.
You're good. Yeah.
I was loaded in no time. But I mean, that's because we're in a society today that, I mean, they're trying to sell us something 24/7, every single hour of the day. And he has to have those people selling things to pay for this. You know, we're on a market.
Yeah.
And so if Alcoholics Anonymous is not attractive, it's not fulfilling its true purpose of extending that hand, what are we? And that's just, you know, it's important that we maintain that. And that's why I like that quote so much from that guy about, you know, restoring dignity.
Yeah.
And if I could be a part of just a small part of that, what greater aspiration?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I keep thinking about the woman you talked to at 5:00 yesterday, and how it'd probably been a while since she had anyone really listen to her, and so it makes me happy that people have that with you.
You're touching me right here, because after about 15 minutes, and I couldn't answer it, I said, well, let me give you need to go to detox somewhere, or I can give you some phone numbers of different rehab. Said, you got insurance? She said, oh, Lord, yeah. After she started talking about $1,500 a day, I thought she might be well covered. But when it was all said and done, she thanked me.
Mm-hmm.
Said, thank you for listening to me. And I said, call me back anytime, 24/7.
Man, it's been cool to listen to some of your history and some of the work you're doing now, and to see you and be able to. I know Brynn hasn't met you, but I've had the luxury of seeing these things and having friends' lives be affected by you. Our friend Wiz, who's my homeboy, you know, and he loved you, and he loved going to Way Out just to hang out with you, and I know that you helped him a lot. But getting to see that and see that what you're not just selling a bill of goods, you've actually really done a lot of this work fervently for a long time. I really appreciate getting to to see a different side of it. You sitting in the chair and talking about it.
But David, have you been in the interview chair, or have you always been the interviewee?
I'm a better interviewer than I am
Because it's great to meet you in that, and but I mean, I feel like this is Danny's my homeboy, and I've seen David, you have exemplified everything that I've been talking about. It's taken Danny a little while to get there, but,
but he's 41 years.
He's good at it.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Yeah. But he's still got to keep off.
I do.
He
both keys.
He volunteered down there for a long time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we let him unlock and meet people down there, but we've all got to lean. This is the beauty of it is there's no one single lane that we need to always stay in. This is the beauty. We all got our own lane, and we need to each be our own self the best we can.
Amen, brother.
Awesome. Well, Paxton, thank you. Thank you for coming on. It's kind of this is something that I've been gunning for since I started Audio Alchemy Productions, and it's taken a hot minute to get you here, but I'm glad we did, and thank you so much for coming on the Recovery Lab, and this has been a great conversation. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in, for coming back again. We'll be back. We're going to try to drop a new episode every Sunday. Yeah.
we got some good ones coming up. Who's next?
We got some great ones coming up. We got
Is Pfeiffer coming on next week? Or
Daniel
is it Harbor House?
Pfeiffer.
Okay.
Yeah, Daniel Pfeiffer the next week, and then the Harbor House team the following week,
Yeah.
and then
What about Kirk?
and we got Kirk coming after that. We got all sorts of good stuff lined
Yeah,
up.
so as always, if anybody wants any input, wants to come on, tell their story, or has anybody they highly recommend, hit us up, DM.
Yep.
Call Daniel.
And
Love to hear from you.
I hate to ask. There's a part of me that just despises social media, but liking and sharing this episode does really help us to get the message out and to grow and to help more people. So, well, I hate being that guy. If you could like and share, that would be awesome too.
Dude, just hit the thumbs up. That's not too
it.
much to ask.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. All right, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Recovery Lab with Paxton Peters. We'll see you next week.